Hello and welcome into Pat's Latest. I'm your host, Mike Gambardella, and on today's episode, we look at a former number 4 overall pick that could potentially be joining the Patriots. We look at the top cornerback duos in the NFL, the latest update on Stephon Diggs, and is there a solution at left guard for the New England Patriots? Before we get into everything, make sure you go down and subscribe for the channel, get into the comments, and let us know what you think about the potential additions for the New England Patriots, and if they indeed have one of the top cornerback duos in the entire NFL. Again, give us a like if you like what you hear, and make sure after today's episode you go back and check out everything else to get up to date on the full offseason story. We start today looking at Kyle Pitts, the much maligned Atlanta Falcons tight end who has not lived up to his top 5 overall NFL draft billing, especially being taken ahead of the likes of those of Jamar Chase. Pitts potentially could be falling out of favor in Atlanta as they continue to build around Bijan Robinson, Michael Penix, and Drake London. And after Aaron Rodgers has officially joined the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have reportedly been in and called the Atlanta Falcons on Kyle Pitts to find out if he is available, and if so, what it could potentially take to get a deal done. With that being said, the question needs to be asked, what do the Patriots need to do, and should they be in the conversation of what they need to do to acquire someone like Pitts? Again, yes, Hunter Henry is probably Drake May's favorite target right now. Stephon Diggs probably can eventually develop into that and is likely the most talented pass catcher on the team. But Hunter Henry is that trusted underneath option right now. Additionally, Austin Hooper was a trusted target for him as well, and likely will be in two tight end sets. Additionally, there is no real third tight end on this roster, all due respect to Jaheim Bell. There is a practice squad level. CJ Dupre, also the undrafted free agent from Alabama, being in the mix. Brock Lampe as a fullback could fill in, at least from a blocking perspective. But the Patriots, again, they don't have proven pass catchers, in all honesty, outside of Diggs and Hunter Henry. So if someone is out there like Kyle Pitts, again, a former top 5 overall pick who's only 24 years old, is highly athletic, can play both the tight end and the wide receiver position in a lot of instances, the Patriots would, again, be doing themselves a disservice if they weren't at least thinking about what this process could look like and giving a call to the Atlanta Falcons and say, what could it take to potentially get something like this done? If you're talking about giving up a 4th or 5th rounder for Kyle Pitts, I think it is something you have to seriously consider, because this is the opportunity to build out your roster, get the most talent as possible, and surround Drake May while he's on his rookie contract with as much pass catching talent as possible. Yes, I do understand that Kyle Pitts, especially from the fantasy football truthers out there, has not lifted up the top billing. Expected to be one of the top 5 tight ends in the league right now. He may have a tough case to crack the top 10 for a lot right now, but you're gambling or buying in on talent, on youth and development, which he really has not gotten in Atlanta thus far. Again, I think for me, if you're asking, do you give up a 3rd rounder, that would be too rich for my blood. 4th rounder, you have a serious conversation. And 5th rounder, yes, pull the trigger for someone like Kyle Pitts. Full disclosure, I think at the end of the day, Atlanta is probably in the same situation where they want to keep the talent level high around someone like Michael Penix, with, again, a second-year quarterback. Again, same situation. So unless they get an offer that blows their socks off and probably goes back to that 3rd rounder, they likely will not be in on a deal for Kyle Pitts at this time. Looking around the league and at social media as well, PFF just recently put out their top cornerback duos and listed the Houston Texans of Derek Stingley and Kamari Lassiter as the top cornerback duo. Buffalo's Benford Johnson, Philly with DeJean and Mitchell, Seattle with Witherspoon and Woolen, and then the Patriots with Gonzalez and Carlton Davis, the new addition, rounding out their top 5. Now, I'd have some issues with their lists, and I think, whether it's Baltimore with Humphrey and Wiggins, whether it's Denver with Sertan and Moss, or Jahadi Barron, the rookie out of Texas, adding in on there as well, Chicago Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon, or even Dallas getting healthy Travion Diggs and Bland there as well. I think, looking at your top 9, top 10 there, where everything slots in, and honestly, I think if you're looking at it fully, you might say, okay, Houston, based upon what they did last year and becoming more of a cohesive unit, and you're projecting things a little bit more. But for my money, I think, adding Carlton Davis to pair with someone like Christian Gonzalez, as long as he is healthy, I think the Patriots very much do have the top cornerback duo in the NFL. Now, it all matters what you do on Sundays, and you can put, your paper champions, you can put your projections or prognostications out there. But looking at it, talent wise, everything, those teams and duos I just put out there, um, what people have done in the NFL, and maybe you knock off even for, Cooper Jean and Quinion Mitchell as two rookies last year that combined to help a team to the Super Bowl and win it. So again, you can say you knock players down until they go out and produce, but with the level of talent and the way that the roster has been constructed here under Elliott Wolf, I think the Patriots, at the very least, have put together a top 5 cornerback duo. I think it absolutely is going to be a hallmark of this team, let alone this defense. The bigger question probably is the depth behind that duo at the end of the day, but it is going to be something that Mike Vrabel can hang his hat on, and a reason why the Patriots are going from a 4-win team to potentially being in the playoff picture this season. Additionally, why the Patriots could be in the playoff discussion is because Stephon Diggs has just registered a third straight day at voluntary OTAs for the New England Patriots. There was a ton of questions and concerns and discussion around what he was doing, why he wasn't at practice, what was in his hand, why is he on a boat, what is he doing, and everything else going around. But he has absolutely stepped up and answered the call by being there for his teammates, for being very much engaged, very much a part of everything, from all accounts being a leader, seen being photographed in the middle of huddles, getting everyone around and putting his hands up, making sure everybody's in, answering questions on the Patriots social media teams, even going so far as to say, how many times do you wear a pair of socks? And yes, the answer is one. And yes, there were players that did say more than one. They will not be named, and they need to reconsider their life decisions. But again, I think it's good to see that Stephon Diggs is absolutely involved in all aspects of this team, social media. Even Mike Vrabel said at one of his first opportunities to stay in front of the team, how you treat the staff, is absolutely a part of the culture of this team, of being accountable and treating everyone with respect. That's what Stephon Diggs has seemingly done now that he is in Foxborough, and hopefully we see that continue, because the Patriots will absolutely need him, his leadership, and his veteran presence to make sure that they get a young team overall, and especially one at the quarterback position with Drake May, up to speed as quickly as possible. Speaking of Drake May, and the ways to get him up to speed is by keeping him upright. And the way that they will do that is the offensive line. Hopefully that Morgan Moses on the right side of that line and Michael Onwenu kicking into right guard will stabilize the right side. And then Will Campbell at left tackle, and Garrett Bradbury stepping in as the starting center coming over from Minnesota really starts to really solidify 4 of the 5 spots on the line. It does leave questions about the left guard spot, and there are several players vying for opportunities there. Some familiar names: Tyrese Robinson, who's a second-year player out of Oklahoma, was a UDFA, was awarded on waivers from the Vikings last year. Has been making some noise, but maybe not quite enough to get into the pecking order quite yet. Layden Robinson, a 24 fourth rounder out of Texas A&M, has flown under the radar and did start 11 games last year, but looks to be leapfrogged by several players right now. Additionally, C.D. Sau, who was also a fourth rounder in 2023 out of Eastern Michigan, has 14 starts on his resume, but similar to Lane Robinson, kind of is sliding back in the shadows, being flying under the radar is the line that Mike Reese from ESPN has used several times, and looks to probably be more of a backup on the right side than in the starting left guard spot. The three right now are Cole Strange, Wes Schweitzer, and the surprising Jack Connolly. Schweitzer, a true veteran, 10-year out of San Jose State, spent the last 2 years with the Jets and actually has 62 starts under his belt, but just 2 over the last 2 years with the Jets. And again, on a veteran line and didn't really have a chance to do anything, but I think he's getting an opportunity here with the Patriots. Cole Strange absolutely should be that guy. That is given every crack to win this job, and at 6'5" and 310 pounds, has the frame to do so. He's a former first rounder in 2022, has reps at both guard and center, and reportedly has some of the best protection on that left guard in non-padded practices thus far. But again, should probably be that leader or co-leader in the clubhouse with Schweitzer. If you're looking for the dark horse for me, it is Jack Connolly, the 6'7", 330-pounder, undrafted out of Boston College. Absolutely, a mountain of a man and can plug in and looks absolutely ready to compete at an NFL level. And he's one of the first players on the field, and he's staying late to work. He's working with Morgan Moses and seems to be pairing well with Will Campbell at that left tackle, left guard spot, respectively. Again, I think Conley can be competing for a roster spot and probably at the end of the day competing with Schweitzer for that spot. And, if it's Robinson, Layden, and Tyrese, if it's C.D. Sau, with the new coaching staff, with Doug Marrone, with Mike Vrabel there, everyone is on a clean slate and everybody has an opportunity to absolutely earn a spot. And in this instance, the left guard starting spot is still up for grabs. The other true dark horse for this position is the third rounder and center out of Georgia, Jared Wilson. Now, he absolutely is the center of the future, but there is a pathway forward where he could be a starter in year one if the coaching staff decides to let him start to take reps at that left guard spot. Now, he is working his way back to gain clearance to get onto the practice field, so he hasn't had a chance quite yet to do that. But if you're looking at sheer talent and opportunity, should those two things meet, he could very much be in that same conversation with Strange, Schweitzer, and Connolly for a four-man race to decide who ends up starting at left guard. And that is also with a big asterisk to say that you're not going out and signing someone off the free agent list like Brandon Scherf. But could it be one of these guys? I think you could take those 4 or 5 and say, yes, it's going to be one of them. And hopefully they've got their stuff together to make sure that Drake May stays off his backside and gets everyone else into the end zone. That'll do it for us here on this episode of Pat's Latest. Again, make sure you go down and subscribe for the channel. Get in the comments and let us know what you think about Kyle Pitts, about Stephon Diggs being on his best behavior, about Gonzo and Carlton Davis and where they're ranking for the top cornerback units. And make sure you give us a like if you like what you hear. Get in the comments and go back and check out all those episodes. We'll continue to have it all for you right here. Fight on, Foxborough.